This episode is sponsored by Law Tiger San Diego. If you or a loved one is injured in a motorcycle accident, call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS for a free case evaluation.
Welcome to The Scenic Ride, a motorcycle podcast where we explore the most epic roads in North America and beyond. I'm Staci.
I'm Sanna.
And I'm Davin.
Today we're exploring the Million Dollar Highway, one of the most beautiful motorcycle roads in the United States. A scenic ride, if you will.
Oh, and I will.
If you've never ridden this area of Colorado, today's podcast will give you some insight on the roadway, plus some insider tips on things to see, eat, and do in the area. Colorado is one of the best motorcycling destinations in the country, and maybe I'm being biased saying that because I live here, but I moved here to have all of this incredible riding right in my backyard. And there's one road that always comes up in conversation when people talk about the roads you have to ride out here, and that's the Million Dollar Highway, or US 550 in Southwest Colorado. As a motorcyclist, I think the views you're going to experience along the roadway are one of the top reasons many of us put this route on our bucket list. Some say the Million Dollar Highway got its name from its million-dollar views, and there's other theories we'll consider shortly, but I think it's safe to say that the scenery out here is top tier. The San Juan Mountains are one of the most spectacular areas of Colorado. From the geology, it's just constantly changing around every curve of this roadway, and it just really shows off how special these mountains really are. In just 25 miles, you'll pass vibrant blue waterfalls and babbling brooks, tinted by mineral-rich waters, along with red-orange mountains and rock formations colored by their high iron content. You'll ride along cliff faces with no guardrails that drop hundreds of feet below you into valley floors, up and over mountain passes that climb to over 11,000 feet in elevation, past historic mining camps, and into towns that feel like they're stuck in their late 1800s Victorian era. And if you're lucky, you might see moose, bighorn sheep, and other wildlife. But let's talk about the riding itself. You do need to be paying attention to the road out here. There are numerous hairpin turns, and like I just mentioned, there's no guardrails, and it's a pretty steep drop-off that you're not going to be coming back from. You definitely don't want to be making mistakes. So when the sign says that you should take a turn at 15 miles an hour, they really do mean it. Numerous publications have called the Million Dollar Highway the most dangerous road in America, and I think that's important to note. The Million Dollar Highway was constructed in the late 1800s, and it was a narrow, unpaved, rocky toll road that was built to connect the booming mining camps of Ouray and Silverton, some of which contained some of the richest silver ore deposits in the world at the time. Even back then, the route was considered extremely dangerous, and some say that the route got its name because the travelers said they wouldn't travel it again, even if paid $1 million. So was that road named after its million-dollar views, rich ore deposits, or its treacherous construction and travel? Nobody really knows, but Sanna and Davin, which one do y'all think?
I don't know which is true, but that's crazy to say they would never travel it again, even if they were paid $1 million. If someone paid me $1 million to ride the Million Dollar Highway, that would be the best day of my life. I would ride it back and forth all day for years for $1 million. Or for free, really. You don't even have to pay me.
Yeah, I've done way weirder shit for less money. That's for sure.
What?
Those are my secrets.
Well, now we know how you like to party.
Amen, sister.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Million Dollar Highway has $1 million views, and maybe it was that it was super expensive to build back in the day, but I don't know. I don't know which one's true. And I feel like even if you talk to people that live in that area, everyone has a different theory behind it. But it's always a fun conversation to have.
I think it's a little bit of all of them. It's got the good views. It had rich ore deposits. It's treacherous. It costs, it's one to experience, that is for sure.
Absolutely. And it's one that you can experience numerous times, which we'll kind of talk about here in a bit. But I did want to mention that the Million Dollar Highway is a small portion of the San Juan Skyway. It's a 230-mile loop through the San Juan Mountains, and that's been designated an all-American road. So if you're like me and you like to cross those off, one at a time is definitely one that you need to ride in full. It does take all day. I have ridden the entire loop, and it took me a solid 8 hours starting in Durango, stopping for lunch and then coming back down the Million Dollar Highway because I rode it clockwise. So just be prepared if you do want to ride it, that it is a little slow going. It is mountain miles, not highway miles. So you are going to be going 30 mile an hour at times and 15 mile an hour through some of those hairpin turns. So just keep some of that in mind. And of course, you're going to want to stop and enjoy some of the scenery because, like we've talked about, this road is just insane. It is otherworldly at times.
And it is popular too, so you might also have to account for some traffic, I think, kind of depending on when you go.
Absolutely, especially on the weekends. As someone who lives here in Colorado, I always tell people if you can avoid traveling the mountains on a Saturday or Sunday, you will have so much more fun out here than if you can only do it on the weekend. And of course, we know sometimes it's inevitable, but timing is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely recommend all day to do this because last time I did it, I did the whole San Juan Skyway, and plus we added the little jaunt into Telluride, and that's just an adorable little spot too to grab some snacks or coffee. So yeah, definitely, plan on spending all day doing this.
I've only ridden the Million Dollar Highway once, and I think I did it. I mean, I had a great time there, but I started in Grand Junction and made my way south. Ouch, cat keeps biting me. Uh, Getting attacked. Um, but I started the morning by riding into the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park. And then I did Million Dollar Highway after. So I spent quite a bit of time in Black Canyon exploring the park, riding all the scenic roads in there. And then I hit up Million Dollar Highway in the afternoon. And so I was kind of on a time crunch at that point, and I didn't get to stop as many times as I wanted to. I didn't get to do any of like the little hikes or like the little waterfall side quests. And I kind of regret that. I mean, that was a pretty epic day, National Park and Million Dollar Highway in the same day, but I definitely need to go back and spend more time on the road. So I'm excited to hear about all the stops I missed when I was there.
Davin, what about you? How many times have you ridden this?
I think I've done it for the Million Dollar Highway itself, that section. And a couple times I was, it was in the middle of the day just while I was doing something else. But the last time we went and did it, we did the whole Skyway in one day. And then the next day we went and did some other passes, which we can chat about later in this episode.
Sweet. Yeah. I've ridden the Million Dollar Highway probably at least 20 something times. But again, I live in Colorado. So for me, I can leave Denver and ride the 300 something miles all the way out there in a day. And I've done that numerous times. And then I can ride all the way back. I've also made it, a 3-day trip. And I do this thing once a year called the French Fry Run. And I will spend 3 days doing it. So I will ride from here to Montrose. And then I will do Montrose to Durango. So I'll do the whole Million Dollar Highway plus the stretch of 550 that goes from Silverton to Durango, because technically that's not the Million Dollar Highway, but a lot of people consider it as part of that. And then the next day, I'll go home from Durango and go all the way back to Denver. So if you really want to spend some time out here checking out the Million Dollar Highway, you can spend a full day going from Ouray to Silverton. If you're someone who enjoys getting off your motorcycle and doing some sightseeing, you can do it. I've totally spent a full 2 days going just from Ouray to Durango and doing some of those side quests like Davin mentioned, doing part of the Alpine Loop and some other things we'll talk about in this podcast. But it's such a cool road. So even if you're someone who is like, Davin's mentioned this in previous podcasts, I just want to ride the road and I want to keep going because there might be a better tree or a better rock around the corner. That's kind of how the Million Dollar Highway is. And around every curve, there's a better view. And so it's just kind of one of those, at some point, you got to stop and enjoy it.
Yeah, so many rocks on this one. A jagged rock really gets me going too. So I stopped probably more times on the last time I did the Million Dollar Highway than I stopped usually because, every little jagged rock and water feature and death cliff is worth a stop and a photo.
It is.
I stopped several hundred times.
And we've all traveled this road, obviously. And since I've traveled it so much, I feel like I've done the entire checklist. I feel like I've stopped to see every little thing, and I've eaten at a bunch of places. And I know Sanna and Davin have also done that. So if you're someone who's thinking of traveling this in the near future, hopefully this will give you some insight so you can plan your trip a little better. And speaking of that, I think there's one thing that everyone should consider when planning a trip down the Million Dollar Highway. I see people talk about this all the time in forums online and Facebook groups, and it is, when should you travel the Million Dollar Highway? I have ridden this road in May. I've ridden this road in June, July, August, September, October. So those are really the months I would recommend. And May is the absolute earliest. Unlike other scenic byways in Colorado that go over high mountain passes, the Million Dollar Highway is open year round and it is plowed, but it goes to over 11,000 feet in elevation. So that doesn't mean it's motorcycle friendly year round. And even in May here, you can see a foot of snow, even into June. So that is something I would definitely recommend. Sanna and Davin, when have you guys ridden it?
I rode it in September, and it was late September, and it was absolutely perfect. I did this big, I was on a big road trip from San Diego to North Dakota and back. I just got laid off from my job at the time, and I was like, you know what? Let's just hit the road. I'm just going to go road tripping. So I was on the road for a couple of weeks, and I spent about 5 days in Colorado. I hadn't really been to Colorado much. I'd only been to Mesa Verde National Park, and that's the only time I'd ever been to Colorado. So I took my time kind of looping through the state at the end of September, and I was really worried about Rocky Mountain National Park because just like a week before, they had to close the road through the park because of snow, but then snow melted away and I was able to ride through it. So I think I got lucky at the end of September. It was perfect weather, but it could have easily been like a week before that or a week after. It could have been snowing. So I think that's the thing with Colorado. It's you never really know.
It's true.
And you side quested the heck out of that trip, didn't you, Sana? Like that was supposed to be like a 2-weeker, and then you just like threw another week side quest onto it. I remember.
Yeah, because what was I getting back to?
Why
I
would
didn't
I
have
go
a
home
job.
and get attacked by my cat? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that was a good one. I've done it, I think June, July, August, September over the years. My general rule is like don't do anything with mountain passes before June because the snow will be there. So I usually try to wait till, late June or July. The last couple of years I'd done it was during Four Corners Rally, which I think is the end of August.
It's Labor Day weekend every year.
Okay, there you go. So that's that weekend. So that's perfect. I mean, it's just, you still have to watch out for storms and whatnot because in the middle of the country, they get that kind of stuff. But man, it's, perfect weather a few times. And I don't think I've ever ridden that section where it's been socked in or miserable, because it seems like the weather in Colorado moves pretty quickly.
It usually does. I've ridden it in gorgeous weather. I've ridden it in hail. And if there's one thing I can recommend, because we do get what's called monsoon season here, is to always pack rain gear. Because yes, the storms typically do move really fast, but even up towards the high country, towards Silverton and whatnot, it's kind of like its own little microclimate. And sometimes the rain just stays.
Yeah. And when you're up that high too, especially.
And it's so cold. It's cold rain. It's not hot Forrest Gump rain that they talk about in that movie. It's just miserable. You don't want to be soaking wet. So that would definitely be my top recommendation is keep rain gear on hand because you just never know. But if you really wanted to make the most out of $1 million highway trip, I would recommend traveling it in the fall. It's one of the top destinations for leaf peeping in the state. So that is something to keep in mind. Like we talked about, riding it on the weekend. Riding it on a Saturday during peak leaf peeping season is going to be really miserable. Just going to be honest with y'all. But if you can time it, maybe a Monday morning, chef's kiss. There's nothing like it. Yeah, the gold rush and the silver rush and all that stuff they talked about with all the ore and whatnot, all the mining stuff, I think it was actually the aspens. I think the rocks are an excuse because that area is just so pretty.
That's the real gold.
It's the real gold, exactly. So before we start this journey, giving y'all some tips going down the $1 million highway, I wanted to talk about something that I think motorcyclists love to ask each other is, which way do you like to ride the route if you've gotten to ride it more ways than one? Because I feel like there's a lot of good roads out there, and depending on which way you ride them, it gives you a different experience. And I think the $1 million highway is the perfect example of that. Personally, I really like to ride it going north to south. So from Ouray to Durango, and that's the route we're going to take in today's podcast. But Sanna, which way have you ridden it? You said you went from Black Canyon south?
Yeah, so I went north to south, and I would love to hear if I should go back and ride it the other direction.
Davin, which way have you done it?
I've done it both ways, but I like riding it north to south also.
Okay. I like riding it north to south for numerous reasons, but I think the scenery is better. And also when you're riding the actual scary section, as people like to call it, of the $1 Million Highway, where you're going through the Uncompahgre Gorge and there's no guardrails and there's, 100-foot drop cliffs right there. It's right there next to you because it's on the southbound side of the road. So I personally really like to be on the cliff side. If you're not, you'll probably like riding it, at least from Silverton to Ouray. You'd probably like riding it north because you'd be on the rock side, not the open side. So hopefully that made sense to y'all. But yeah, I think north to south is the better route personally.
I don't even remember it being treacherous. Sure, it was it was a little steep, some drop offs, but maybe it's because I came straight from Black Canyon of the Gunnison, where the road into the canyon is so steep and so twisty. Maybe I was just kind of numb to it by the time I got to $1 Million Highway, but I remember it just being fun and beautiful and not scary at all.
Personally, I don't think the $1 Million Highway is scary. I know a lot of people think it's super dangerous and super scary, but on a motorcycle, and as someone who doesn't have a fear of heights, I think that's important to mention. I don't think it's terrifying at all. Now, I've driven it in my truck, and I have a Tacoma, so it's not even a big truck. But there's some sections of that road where if an 18-wheeler is coming at you, you better give them space. You better slow down and just stop because there's not going to be enough room around those corners for both of y'all. And that road is a full U.S. highway, so any kind of 18-wheeler can go through there, an RV, and there are some tight sections. So just keep your eyes open. But yeah, do I think it's scary? No.
Yeah, it's a good tale of caution, though, for the flatlanders out there who come from their state that doesn't have a hill. And when you show up out there and there's sheer drop-offs with exposure, it'll keep your butt puckered.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it for sure.
All the good roads do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started going down the $1 Million Highway together. The highway technically starts in Ouray, and another reason that I really like to ride this road from north to south is whenever you're approaching the San Juan Mountains from Montrose and Ridgeway and that section, it's beautiful. You don't get that same viewpoint if you're riding in from the Durango side of the San Juans. And so I do think that's another perk of riding it from north to south is as you head into Ouray, it is just this magical, jagged mountain range in front of you. And it's just so pretty. But Ouray is named after Chief Ouray, who was a Ute Indian. And I won't go too far into detail on all of his history, frankly, because I don't know it all. I haven't visited the Ute Indian Museum in Montrose yet, but that is a good place to go if you want to learn a lot about the Native American history in the area, because there is a lot of it. But yes, it is pronounced Ouray, like hip, hip, Ouray is how a lot of people remember how to say it. I know I used to call it Ouray because I didn't know how to pronounce it. And I know everyone on this podcast is big on pronunciations of things. So figured we'd just touch on that one because it's a popular one to mispronounce. But Ouray sits in kind of like this little bowl, and it is just surrounded by all these crazy red rock cliffs. It's nicknamed the Switzerland of America, and it was kind of a mining camp hub back in the day. So it's an 1800s Victorian era town, and whenever you're rolling through town, it's perfectly preserved in that era of history. It's beautiful, in my opinion. I think, everyone's idea of what beautiful architecture is going to differ, but that's something I love about Colorado towns is just how stuck in time so many of these old towns really are. So personally, I really like it, but that'll be up to everyone to decide.
I mean, it is really gorgeous. I just rode through Ouray and didn't stop in the town, but I stopped up at the Switzerland of America sign and had lunch there. And just there's a good overlook there, and you can see into the town. And it really is just such a postcard perfect little mountain town.
It's really
adorable.
Also, because I like to bring lunch with me, I never stop at restaurants. I'm like the opposite traveler of Staci, who her whole thing is going to restaurants. Mine is avoiding restaurants, so I usually always just bring a sandwich with me. And I stopped at that Switzerland overlook to have my sandwich, And I remembered a trick or a tip that Davin had given me just like a few months before, I think. And that was instead of sitting on the ground and eating or like sitting on a rock, take off your hard luggage off the bike and use that as your chair. And so that was the first time.
Genius.
Yes, so
That's
smart.
the life hack.
Yeah, so I tried that for the first time and it just made my sandwich stops so much better. So,
There you go.
yeah,
It's the best thing
Love
about
it.
hard luggage
yes,
It
yes, yes.
really is.
on an adventure bike.
Yes.
I do that when I'm camping off the Pan America. I'll take the hard luggage off, and I like to cook when I camp just to save money, and I just enjoy it. It's like therapeutic for me. Some people think that's crazy, but hey, we all have our opinions. And that is like one thing in Ouray to mention is there's a campground there called the Amphitheater if you're into motorcycle camping. And I've been told I've never been able to get a reservation there. It is hard to get a campsite at this campground, but I've heard if you're a camper, it is incredible. So maybe you'll get lucky every now and then. There's some first come, first serve campsites there, but I've never lucked out. So I usually don't even bet on it if I'm going to go to Ouray to start the $1 Million Highway ride. I'm not even going to try and camp, at least in an actual campground, because it's just usually too busy. But you never know. So, but Ouray has a couple other things to see and do in that area. And speaking of lodging, a lot of the lodging spots in Ouray are actually hot spring resorts. And that's a big draw to Ouray. There's also the Ouray Hot Springs, and you'll see that right as you're coming into town. It just looks like this giant outdoor pool, which is so cool. I don't know if either of you have stopped there or not, but I love a good swimming hole, whether it's a cold swimming hole or a hot swimming hole. And here in Colorado, usually the ones you want to get into are the hot springs because they're actually comfortable because all of our water here is snowmelt, so it's usually frigid. So the hot springs are kind of the easiest way to enjoy a dip. Have either of you been there?
No, but I love a good dip and I would love to go.
Yeah,
You
next time
should.
for
You
sure.
should. Yeah, I went 1 year after Four Corners Rally, and it was like the perfect way to end it. And it was like on the Monday of Labor Day. So it was actually really dead. I don't know if I got there just super early or if everyone had gone home, but it was almost like I had the whole hot spring resort to myself. It was incredible.
That's
It was so nice because that's
Yeah.
rare. It's rare that you go to a hot spring resort of any kind and it's just like you and 5 other people.
Oh,
There's
it's the
usually,
worst.
yeah, it's usually jam packed. So,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely recommend that one.
I think we dunked on the south side of town because I was out there with a guy who loves to dunk his junk, and we found a little hole in one of the rivers to hop into,
Oh,
which
you
was
did the
also brisk.
I was gonna say you did a cold plunge because
There we
that's cold.
Yeah.
Well, another water feature that I think is worth stopping to see in Ouray, and technically it's like on the start of the $1 Million Highway, it's probably the first thing you would come across, is Box Canyon Falls. And most people miss this when they do the $1 Million Highway. I would probably say it's one of the most underrated stops on the whole thing. And it is basically this waterfall that's built into this slot canyon right outside of Ouray. And you follow a little dirt road to get down there, and it's a well-maintained dirt road, so don't be scared of the word dirt if you ride cruisers. But you get down there, I think you pay like a $5 donation or something to experience it, and you get to walk down this kind of metal graded walkway into this canyon, and there's a waterfall back there. And I think they used to use the area for mining or something. There's some other things you can kind of crawl through and experience and whatnot, but it's just so cool. And I just don't see a lot of people talk about it.
I've only seen you talk about it, and because I've seen you talk about it, it's been on my list of places that I absolutely should stop at when I go back and have time to stop and not just have to ride through everything.
Yeah, I'm someone who likes to chase waterfalls, swimming holes,
Mhm.
all the water features on trips. So that was one for me when I finally was like, okay, I have the time today. I'm going to spend an hour going and checking this out. It was totally worth it. So definitely at that one.
I love a good waterfall, and I think I've mentioned this before, but like I have a few rules for myself when I go on road trips, and number one is always bring a swimsuit. That is like literally the number one rule because you never know when you're going to find a water feature that you gotta dunk your drunk. Like that's part
A
of it.
100%. It's like, especially when it's super hot outside, chef's kiss. I'll jump in all my clothes. If I goofed and I made a mistake and there's no swimsuit, I'm just jumping in. It just is what it is.
Absolutely. And I think So I grew up in Sweden, but I moved to California because I don't like being cold. And the one time when my inner Viking actually comes out is when it comes to jumping in the water, because I don't care if it's cold. I'll jump into,
Yeah.
glacial lakes. I just want to be in the water.
When there's one person I think of that definitely prioritizes swimming holes, it's you. So,
Likewise,
yeah,
yes.
the Swede culture makes sense for you
Yeah, but
as
then
to
she's
why.
got this crazy rule where her dad taught her that swimming season goes from January 1st to December 31st, which is great. But then ice cream season is like way shorter, which to me seems like bullshit.
Well,
I
that's
feel like
that.
ice cream season is January 1st to December 31st also.
I agree. 2 against 1.
You guys can eat ice cream whenever you want.
Okay, fine. Yeah, that's just yeah. Okay. Well, I thought that had me shook when she told me this. I'm like, come on. There's ice cream season is shorter than swimming season. This is
To
outrageous.
be fair, that's my dad's swimming season, and he lives in Sweden. He will literally drill a hole in the ice and jump in. I'm not
Yeah.
Wow.
not quite that crazy, but my dad does also have a saying, which is "You never regret a dip," and that I have taken to heart because you're never going to regret jumping in the water, even if it is cold. Afterwards,
True.
you're going to feel so refreshed. It's worth it.
Very true.
I don't know, man. I grew up on Lake Superior and I've regretted a few dips over the years. So, we'll just have to agree to disagree on that one. Ice cream season runs all season and, yeah, ducking your junk season can be regretful from time to time. IMHO.
I agree with all the above
Yes.
on both accounts. It's all subjective.
Yep, exactly.
But speaking of food, so really there are kind of 3 hubs on the Million Dollar Highway for places to eat and stop, and it's Ouray, Silverton, and Durango. And Davin showed me this picture of an omelet
Oh
earlier
my god, dude.
today, and I want you to talk about where did you find that? Tell me
Dude,
about
the
this
friggin'
omelet.
omelets, like, I didn't know it's not a Denver omelet, I don't even know what the name of it is, but at the Durango Diner, they call this the Cure, and it's a
Okay.
huge omelet with bacon and then, like, green salsa on top, and apparently it's, like, a thing there because I've probably had 7 of them at 6 different places, and they're all, like, there's no icky onions inside of the omelet or anything like that, it's just eggs, cheese, some kind of a meat, bacon on top, and then just some kind of green chili salsa on top, and they are so good. And the diner in Durango, if you go to the Durango Diner, it's been there since the 1940s or something. It's like walking into the back of a semi-trailer. It's just a narrow, like single width building downtown, and it is so good. And I forgot about those omelets. Like I thought about them for months after that trip or every trip that I go to and have one. And then I saw those pictures when I was digging up my notes this morning. I'm like, oh my goodness, these freaking omelets.
They're incredible.
Oh,
So I've been to the Durango Diner, and I think a good explanation for it is it's a greasy spoon. It's
for sure.
and it is very good. There's so many places to eat in Durango, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah. And the
Um,
little side note on that is you're guaranteed to see a teal softail parked outside at any day of the year. So good.
so it's motorcycle friendly, even better. We love that. But that place is great, and the green chili sauce he was kind of talking about. The Durango Diner is known here in Colorado for their green chili, and you can actually buy it in some of the grocery stores here. So if you've got a hankering for
Yeah, I'm
it,
gonna have to
do you want
hit
me
you
to
up on
send you
that
some?
because, oh
Yeah.
my goodness, yeah, that stuff is just I mean, and the photo, maybe if we make this into a little snippet for the Instagram, I'll throw that photo in there, but, I mean, it is just smothered, it's not like you get a little sauce packet, it is completely buried in this green shit, and it's so good.
I like
This
that you apologized to me when you sent it to our group chat.
Right? Like, I know this isn't your thing, but holy balls, look at these things. Look at these little units.
Yeah, well, that green shit is green chili, and in Colorado, it's something that you're supposed to try while you're here. So, if you can, definitely give it a whirl. Sometimes they put pork and whatnot in it, so if you're vegetarian, it might not be up your alley, but you can always check and ask before they put it on your food. So,
Yeah, it's definitely worth breaking edge over.
Breaking edge, veggie edge. Well, as far as food goes in Ouray, I usually don't stop in Ouray for food. I'll usually go down to Durango. I sometimes will stop in Silverton, but a couple places I would recommend if you guys are looking for snackies. Ouray Brewing, they have a great patio that kind of overlooks all of downtown Ouray. Not that it's very big, but we'll just call it downtown for simple terms. And so I think that's a really nice thing. And on the weekends when there's lots of motorcycles, it's a big hub for people who are doing dual sport riding and as well as street riding. So you get a nice mix of all different kinds of bikes going through town, and you can kind of watch them from up there. I really like their wings and their elote dip if you want some tips. And there's another spot in town called the Outlaw. I've never been able to eat there. It's been on my list for probably 10 years now, but their hours are just never on my hours. So it's just kind of a conflict of scheduling, really. I need to make a trip out there just to try and eat there sometime because a lot of people recommend it, but not really the spot I typically stop at for food. But with that, we'll kind of start going down the $1 Million Highway and kind of talking about some of our, favorite stops along the way because there is a lot to stop and see. And like I mentioned earlier, I think you can make a whole day out of going 25 miles, and I think it's like 155 curves between Ouray and Silverton because there is things to stop and see on top of just enjoying the ride because it is such a beautiful roadway. So I think the first thing that everyone should stop at on the $1 Million Highway is definitely the Switzerland of America sign that Sanna was talking about earlier. It is just very iconic. And I feel like that's one of the things that, as motorcyclists, we tend to take photos at different signs, whether it's a Welcome to Colorado sign or it's a scenic byway sign or national forest sign. It's kind of a thing we do. And this is the one on the $1 Million Highway that a lot of people like to stop and take photos at.
I love a good sign, and so obviously I had to stop at this one.
Yeah, I've got pictures at it too. I mean, pretty much every time I ride this road, I stop there.
Yeah, last time we were there, I think I've only ridden by this a couple times, but yeah, I've not got a photo, so next time I will definitely stop.
And it's such a good spot too because I feel like if you're doing it north to south, this is like your first taste of what the $1 Million Highway is going to be like. This is like your first real, like the flavor of the road and the views.
Because you basically leave Ouray and you head up a couple of tight switchbacks. Like it's instant. As soon as you leave town, you're at the last little building in town. Boom, up like 3 or 4 switchbacks. And in one of those switchbacks is this big pullout for the Switzerland of America sign. So it's like, okay, here we go. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's a really cool spot to stop and pull off. But right up the road, if you continue on from there, I mean, maybe 2 miles up the road, not too much further, you go through a tunnel. And right after that, if you're going south, it's on the right-hand side. There's a huge, I'm not going to call it huge, but for the $1 Million Highway, it's a huge parking lot. It's probably got, 10 spots max. And it's a big overlook that overlooks the Uncompahgre Gorge and Bear Creek Falls. And this is a waterfall that a lot of people like to stop and take pictures at. And there's like this big metal grate that you can walk out on that basically you're standing on top of this waterfall. It's one of the most iconic views of the $1 Million Highway, in my opinion. A lot of people like to stop and take pictures here. Like once you see this spot, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about if you've ever seen photos of this road. So
I did actually stop there. That was one of the few stops that I did on my ride down this road, and it was worth the stop.
Yeah, I think it's really pretty. Davin, have you been there?
Yep. Yeah, we stopped there and then we went down the road a little bit further to like a little just kind of enough room for 3 bikes to pull off and stopped there and did a little exploration and found some little like caverns and, gushing water features and stuff like that. And I think that's where we dunked.
Nice.
You dunked your junk, huh?
Heck yeah, brother.
Yeah, that next section after that pullout is basically the quote unquote scary section of the $1 Million Highway. It's the part that freaks a lot of people out, that's built right on that cliff face in the gorge. And like we've all said, it doesn't really freak any of us out. And I'm the crazy person who likes to ride, right on the mayonnaise, right on the edge of the cliff to like look over it. I love it. But I know some people, they're hugging the mustard. They're on the other side of the road and it freaks them out. So,
I like the ketchup personally, but I kind of stay right in the middle. Let her get greasy.
Oh man, I use that terminology. I was on a road trip one time with a group, and I was like, "You're hugging the mustard too much. Like, come off the middle line. You know, I don't want to see you get splattered and turn into ketchup." We
Uh,
were all in our Bluetooth headsets, and it was just funny because at first they were like mayonnaise and mustard, and I was like, "It's not because I'm a foodie. This is a real thing. Like, you're hugging the mustard. You're hugging the yellow line."
Yellow white.
Oh, man. But, yeah, I think that section, it's so cool, and, you know, sometimes I think I'm a little jaded because I live here and I get to ride all these roads all the time, so sometimes I forget how scary these things can be to someone who maybe is from the Midwest, maybe they're from Illinois, and they don't really get to see anything curvier than, you know, like a roundabout. So, for me, this stuff is it's not that crazy, but I can see for some people where this stretch of the road would be really treacherous, but that's not even where the road gets great. I think, honestly, the best part of the Million Dollar Highway is the Red Mountain Historic District. So, the whole reason this road was built, like we talked about earlier, is because there was a huge mining boom in Colorado. You know, we had a Colorado gold rush, but out here in the late 1800s, there was gold, there was silver, there was a couple different other minerals and things that they mined. But this mining district was one of the richest mining districts in the world. And from what I read online, it said, I actually wrote it down just so I could tell y'all. I found this thing online and it said silver could be found that contained as much as 1,000 ounces of silver per ton of ore, which was an unheard of richness at the time. So I don't know what that means. I think mining history is cool, but I'm not an actual miner, so I couldn't tell you how insane that is.
wait,
But
you're not a minor? You've
I'm not.
been lying to us?
I'm not 17 years old.
Oh,
Oh,
whoa,
did
whoa,
I?
whoa.
That was a good one, guys. Give it to me. Come on.
It was good.
I'm so proud of myself right now. But yeah, I really like mining history. I think it's pretty cool. And I think that's also because I live in a state whose history is so built on mining history in general. But this area in general is why the Million Dollar Highway exists. So this section of road, there's a couple overlooks, and there's one that goes by the Yankee Girl mine, and that's like the most famous mine of them all, and it's still standing. And if you're on an adventure bike or just if you're and I'll go further to say that you should probably have some off-road riding skills even if you choose to go ride this little side quest offshoot over into the Red Mountain District because it's not just a flat gravel road. There are some features and things that you need to be comfortable going over there. So let's call it intermediate advanced, not beginner friendly. I'm not going to go over there alone, for example. Just like Sanna doesn't like to ride off-road by herself, which is smart. That area I think is so pretty, and that's where the road really gets super twisty, and it's just like your eyes are honestly so focused on the road because it's so twisty through there that you really do need to use these overlooks to enjoy some of the scenery.
For sure. And that's that whole like that's I don't know what you call it, like going from the cliffs, you know, you have a tall cliff on your left side, a drop off cliff on the right, and then as you go through those twisties, you start getting into the red mountains, and then you start coming up over the tree line, and it just becomes like these big, vast views. Um, in that short distance is, you know, what makes a good road for this guy, you know. So you have the elevation changes and the twisties and the fun stops with just like when you come around a corner and you're just like, whoa, you know, you have to pay attention to the road, but also like the views just blow your mind. It's giving me goosebumps right now talking about it. Like that's what it's all about for me.
I love it. Yeah, and I think the Million Dollar Highway does a really good job encompassing all of those things for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think if you have the time, definitely stop to enjoy some of that mining history because you also there I think it's called the Yankee Girl Mine Overlook. I don't think it's actually labeled, but you can probably look it up on Google Maps if you're interested. But that area, that's really where like the Red Mountains truly are, that the San Juans are kind of known for. It's all because of all the iron that's in the rocks and soil out there. It's very unique because not all of the San Juan Mountains have that hue. It's just that very particular section. So I think it's really cool to stop and really admire it. And then that way you can rip through the twisties and enjoy it.
Yeah, a lot of those spots look like what they call snow parks out here. I think they're called snow parks in Colorado too, but it just seems like those where like the bros park their rigs, and dump out their sleds in the wintertime to go brap through the mountains.
Yeah. They're kind of like little parking lots for sure. I don't know if we call them snow parks.
Yeah,
I honestly don't know. But
yeah.
I don't do the snow sports.
Don't do
So
the snow stuff.
oops. I stay down here on the Front Range where we
Yeah,
don't get as much snow. I'm from Texas. Have you seen Texans driving snow? It's terrifying.
I have. Yeah, it's very
We're
scary.
we're literal bowling balls going for the
Not
pins.
ideal.
That's like Californians driving in rain.
Yeah, exactly.
Sketchy.
But we've talked about this in other podcasts, and I really like looking for animals and wildlife whenever I'm on trips. And something that's really cool about the area from basically Red Mountain Pass, which is the highest point on the $1 Million Highway, you go to just over 11,000 feet in elevation, and then you start to descend into Silverton. And this section is actually known to have moose, a family of meese, if you will.
Mises.
I've seen many a meese in this area because also I've ridden this road so many times I've had that opportunity. But there's some swampy areas out there, and moose love to eat in those swampy sections, and they'll just sit there and snack all day. I've seen bull moose, I've seen baby moose, I've seen the whole family out there. So if you're out on this road, definitely keep your eye out for wildlife, but definitely meese.
Yeah, those things are friggin' huge. You
Mhm.
know, like if you've never seen a moose IRL before, those things, they're called murder deer for a reason because they are humongous. And it's cool when you just stop and you're like, wait, did you hear that? And it's like a crunchy noise, and you're like, whoa, dude, it's a moose, and it's right there. And they're super, like, they seem like agile creatures, but I've seen the damage they can do. And yeah, they're definitely don't pet the fluffy cow kind of situations.
Don't pet the fluffy cow, and also they're mean. They're really mean, and they don't really care. Like, I've heard they're kinda blind, but they have great hearing, but oddly enough, they don't care that your rumble, rumble, loud motorcycle's coming, and they will totally walk across the road in front of you. So, it's very important to look for them because you think hitting a deer is bad, which we have those here too, but we don't worry about them the way we worry about elk and moose up in the mountains because those do so much more damage.
They do so much more damage, but I think deer are just way more unpredictable. Like, at least in my experience, whenever I see moose, they're just kind of chilling. I know they can get really aggressive if you taunt them or if you mess with them, but generally they seem a little bit more even keeled just when they're just hanging out. And deer are just like dumb and
Completely
unpredictable.
unhinged.
Yeah, that's my greatest fear when riding a motorcycle I is being anywhere near deer, to be honest, 'cause,
Yeah. You're
I
10 feet
don't
away and it's staring at you. You don't know if it's going to go this way or that way.
and it's never gonna do the right like, it's never gonna make good choices because they're so dumb, so it's just really a gamble of
Correct.
life and death when it comes to deer.
Yeah.
Fuck them deer.
Yeah.
But what is y'all's in that stretch of road, in that 25-mile stretch, what is y'all's favorite place to stop at? I mean, have y'all really gotten to stop much on it, or were you just so enamored by the rocks and the road itself that you didn't stop too much?
I stopped just several times, and I think to me, it's just the differences, like I mentioned before. It's just like you have to stop for the rocks because I never met a jagged rock I didn't like. Stop for them with the raging waters is cool. And then once you get up above the tree line or near that area with the rolling, like the Red Mountains are a little bit rollier, smoother, if you will, and I will. Um, that I think it all makes for great photography either way. So stop and grab some photos that way you can, go back and look. And when I was just digging through my content today, trying to remember where we stopped and what we were looking at, it's just the vast differences from in that 25-mile zone is pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like I said, I didn't stop that many times. I stopped at some of the big overlooks and waterfalls, but I kind of got into the mindset of just like enjoying the road. Like I just put my pressed play on my GoPro and then just was like, I'll enjoy this footage later, but for now, I'm just gonna enjoy the road. So I do have like I have footage, I have memories I can scroll through from the road, but most of it is just taken from my bike as I'm riding because yeah, I didn't have time to make a lot of stops or like take side quests. And so I just instead got really into just riding and enjoying the road.
Cool. Yeah, it's like I've said, there's so much to do on just that tiny little stretch. And if you don't stop, it takes 45 minutes. If you stop, it can take all day if you want it to. And if you do decide to let it take all day, the final destination technically on the $1 million highway is Silverton. Silverton sits at 9,300 feet in elevation. It's not the highest town in Colorado, but it is up there. And that is, earlier we were talking about weather, and it is kind of one of those towns where it is kind of nice to know what's going on up in Silverton because in Durango or Ouray, the weather could be totally different. And so that little town's pretty neat. And if that's where you want to end your day, that's awesome. It's a pretty small town and it feels out of the three towns, Ouray, Silverton, and Durango, I think it's the most frozen in time. It feels very Wild West. And back in the day, it was known as a notorious mining camp with gambling and brothels and the whole nine yards. Like when you think about old mining camps in the Wild West, that it's Silverton to the T. And it's actually a National Historic Landmark. So a lot of the buildings down there are very historic and very kept intact from their original days. So if you're into that kind of stuff, the historical side of things, I think it's totally worth a stop. But it's also a great jump off point. If you do want to take side quests, that's a really good spot to get onto the Alpine Loop. If you're on an ADV, Anemus Forks is out there, which my beginner level ADV skills got me to Anemus Forks and back from Silverton, but I was too scared to continue. So I went back to Silverton. But Davin, I think you've done some of that, right? Have you done the
Yeah,
whole Alpine Loop or?
we did the whole loop. Yes. Yeah, so we went up to Silverton and grabbed some. I think one day we actually grabbed lunch up there. It is cool because it's all old timey and it's Wild West for sure. And there's also ice cream, so definitely coffee, ice cream, tacos. The three food groups, they have them all. And yeah, when you go up to, so we took the loop and we went up Engineer Pass on the way out, and then down into Lake City. And man, Lake City, we got over there and all three of us, it was me, Ed Subius, and Otto. And we're like, dude, can we live here? This place is amazing. Lake City is so cute. We went to a restaurant. It was so delicious. And then as you're going south out of there to get to the way back over on the loop, just the visuals over there are magical too. And then taking Cinnamon Pass back over, and those both Engineer and Cinnamon are right around 12,000 some feet. So you're up there and you're dodging Jeeps the entire time, depending on what time of day and what time of the year you're doing it. But man, that was some sheer cliff drops on one side. You've got tons of exposure. Engineer was a little bit smoother feeling, smoother windblown rocks, where Cinnamon is definitely more rugged and a little bit more abrasive. So watch for punctures and, bring your gear because you never know what the weather's going to do when you're up that high. Even from the 9,000 at Silverton up to the 12 on the passes, it can change significantly. So be ready for that. And then obviously if it's been raining for the 2 weeks before you get there, it's going to be a little bit more treacherous. So definitely check on what has been going on up there. But yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful, section. And I've got 7 or 8 passes saved over there from my buddy Eric, who owns Wolfman Luggage. He's like, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And he made me pin them all. And he's like, this is how you want to do it. So I've done 4, I think. But that loop is so good. The Alpine Loop. And it's like one of those things where if you're not a super advanced adventure rider, you can still do it. It's pretty, it's the faster you go, the more hairy it gets, obviously. So judge your speed according to your skill and you'll be fine. But definitely stop in Lake City for a lunch if you have time.
Good to know. I've eaten at a couple places in Silverton. I've only ridden through Lake City, which is technically on the Silver Thread Scenic Byway. That's also another San Juan area scenic byway. But I haven't gotten to stop in Lake City. I've just ridden through it. But Silverton, I've stopped and eaten at a couple of times. And Handlebars is a really popular motorcycle stop. I don't want to call it a biker bar, but it seems to be where a lot of motorcyclists end up congregating there.
Yeah.
I really like the Little Bear. They have coffee. I'm a big coffee connoisseur. And they make these like panini breakfast sandwiches,
That
and
might be the place that we stopped at. I don't remember what the name of
it's
it was.
it's cute, it's aesthetic, and if the weather's nice, they usually have a patio upstairs that you can it's like 3 floors up. You gotta go up all these little staircases. Again,
Okay, I know.
historic 1800s buildings, but you can go up there and kinda overlook Silverton, which is cool.
Yeah, I have a picture of my ice cream from Smeedley's, which apparently that was the ice cream shop. But that's the only photos I have from Silverton, aside from rivers gushing down the side of mountains and adventure bike stuff.
Very, very picturesque San Juans, rivers gushing and motorcycles.
I have a very non-picturesque photo from Silverton, which is from the gas station. Like right when you get into town, there's a gas station right off the road. I stopped there. I was like inside the gas station, the little shop there, and I was just standing looking at the stickers that they had for sale. And one of the stickers said, "Sea level is for sissies." And right as I read that at 9,300 feet of elevation, I started getting a nosebleed
Oh my god.
from the elevation. So I have a photo of myself just stuffing my nose with tissues because apparently I'm a sea level sissy. I can't handle the Colorado elevation.
Yeah, some people really struggle with the elevation here, and if you are someone who's a sea level sissy, definitely take it slow and drink water out here. It does help with altitude sickness. I don't know about nosebleeds; might make them more fluid, but water does help with the elevation and just kind of moving slower because some people get up here and they get lightheaded and they don't do too well. So everyone's different. I've had altitude sickness once before I moved here and it sucked. So definitely take it a little slow if you can.
Yeah, that's what I had to do on those 5 days I spent in Colorado on that trip. I was also like just recovering from COVID, so it could have been a combination of the elevation and also just kind of still being a little bit sick. But I was so exhausted for like 5 days straight of riding through Colorado. And then as soon as I got out of the mountains and rode into Wyoming, like literally the second I crossed the state line, I like felt back to normal again. So I think the elevation definitely messed with me a little bit, and I have to spend more time there to get used to it.
Sounds like
For
you're just
sure.
a sissy.
I mean,
Uh,
proud sea level sissy over here.
Sea level sissy. Sounds like you're allergic to Colorado.
Oh, that's hilarious. I'm going to get you a sticker made. I think you need it now.
I love stickers. Yeah, I'll
I
take it.
know. I'm going to get you one. Oh, man. Well, there's a couple other things to see, I guess, in Silverton if you're into the historical stuff, and it's kind of like your typical touristy things. So there's two main roads through town, and there's Green Street, which is the main road you're going to come down when you go into Silverton. It has all the historical buildings on it, very picturesque. And then just over to the south, basically, is Blair Street. And back in the day, that was the red light district. So that's where all the hootenanny was. It's where the brothels were and the gambling and all the crazy Wild West stuff went down. And there are some old things over there, like the old Silverton jail is still standing. They've preserved that pretty well, which I think is really neat. So you can go stand outside of that, take some pictures. And there is a place to eat there. I've never actually been, but it's called the Shady Lady, and it technically was the last brothel in Silverton, and I want to say it closed in like 1940 something, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that, but it was around for a while. Have either of you been there?
I don't think so. I've seen it. I know obviously seen everything in that town because I walked up and down the block 9 times, but I don't remember exactly where we were.
I don't think I even really went into the town. I just stopped at the gas station, had my nosebleed, and then I went to Durango.
That's
Just
fair.
business
Just,
as usual.
yeah. I will say that Silverton's pretty small, and you can, if you want to, you can spend a whole day, exploring, but you can also spend 1 to 2 hours there and get a pretty good gist for everything. So, yeah, the only other thing I'd say to maybe stop and see if you time it right is the Durango to Silverton train, which takes off from Durango in the mornings, and I've actually ridden it. There's two different routes it does. There's one that goes all the way to Silverton, and there's one that stops halfway, and I did that one because I did not want to be on a train for 8 hours. But that one does leave from Silverton, and you can hear it, blow its little horn and everything. And it's kind of cool to see it take off. I've seen it take off out of Durango. I've actually gotten to ride my motorcycle up the $1 Million Highway next to it, but I've never seen it in Silverton. So, but I think that's kind of it for Silverton. And then after that, the $1 Million Highway technically ends in Silverton, but it's another 50-ish miles to get to Durango. And most people consider that 50-mile stretch a part of the $1 Million Highway. It's definitely less twisty and less technical, in my opinion. I think it's a lot faster moving. You can definitely get to Durango in 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how you do it. But there are a couple of cool things to see that I think are worth noting. And one of them is Mullis Pass. This is probably one of my top 5 favorite places to stop along the $1 Million Highway. You're at about 10,910 feet in elevation at the summit. And you're kind of in this like little valley out there. And like the scenery, it's just so hard to explain, but there's lots of cool rocks. I know we've talked about rocks a lot in this podcast, but the rocks at Mullis Pass cannot be beat.
I agree.
It's just so beautiful. It's like everywhere you look, it's like this 360-degree view of all these surrounding like 14ers, and which is what we call 14,000-foot peaks here in Colorado, local lingo. But it's just so pretty. And there's a campground up there. It's one of those, again, that's really hard to get a reservation at, but it's been considered the most scenic campground in the country. I think they've won some awards. So don't bet on getting a spot there on a whim, but if you're lucky, maybe you'll get to stay the night there. So it's pretty cool. And so I think Mullis Pass is really pretty. I think it's worth a stop. And that I talked about parking lots earlier. That's probably the biggest parking lot pullout on the whole $1 Million Highway that isn't in a town. There's probably like 20 to 30 spots in that parking lot. Maybe there's some backcountry skiing and other stuff in the winter. I don't know, but that's a good sized parking lot. But as you're getting into Durango, really the last kind of sightsee thing that, kind of tourist attraction, in my opinion, on the MDH is the Pinkerton Hot Springs. And if you blink, you'll totally miss it, because I missed it the first time I rode it. But it used to be a resort back in the day, and I think it burned down at some point. But nowadays, it's this orange waterfall, weird looking object off to the side of the road. It's on the east side of the road when you're going south. And it's a hot spring. And there's actually on the backhand side of it, there's actually little pools that you can technically get into. I've just dipped my feet in it. I've never put my whole body in it, but I know you can. But I think it's so unique because it's so technically that feature is man-made, and then the minerals have built up over time to just make it even more exuberant. But it's so cool because you can almost pull your motorcycle like right up to it and take a photo.
Yeah, we cruised by there, and it's. I remember the sulfur stink, and it looks just like a big like a caramel
blob.
Yes.
Yeah. It looks really weird. And if you're not used to seeing hot spring formations of any kind, again, if you're not from the Rocky Mountain West where we have that stuff kind of sporadically throughout, it probably looks really weird to you. And you're probably like, what in the heck is that watery thing on the side of the road? Pretty much from there, you're in Durango. That's kind of like the last thing, in my opinion, to stop and see. And Durango, we could have a whole podcast on Durango. There's so much to see and do there. I think, Davin was talking about this legendary omelet earlier, and I definitely think that if you're a foodie, I think that Durango is definitely the town you're going to want to focus on. I talked about earlier in this podcast about a French fry run that I do, and it's to Durango to go to Steamworks Brewing. They have these things called dirty fries there, and I will ride to Durango for the weekend to get them. And they're French fries loaded with like pulled pork and pepperoncinis. I don't even know what's all on these things. All I know is they're like crack, and I will ride 350 miles to go eat them for a day and then ride home. It's a benefit that the ride's really pretty. It's an excuse to go ride the MDH, but Steamworks is great. But yeah, we could be here for an hour just talking about, Durango. There's hot springs. There's the Durango Silverton train, like I said, which I've done. And if you have the time, I'd recommend it. I think that you should definitely plan to spend a whole day in Durango then. So like get to Durango, one night, and then do the train, and then book another night's lodging in Durango, because it'll pretty much take up your whole day. You're not going to make it too far. But yeah, I think lodging, food, other things to do in town, it's probably the biggest hub, which is also why I like to ride it north to south, is that way you just have so much more options towards the end of the day. And there's also a full Harley dealer there if you need it, and other manufacturers as well. So
I did stop
Yeah.
at that Harley dealer when I got into town because when I'm on my Pan America and I'm on a long road trip, I try to do chain maintenance pretty regularly, just stay on top of that. And I can't get the bike on the center stand by myself. This has been an ongoing battle with me and this bike for 3 years. So I always, when it's time, I try and find a Harley dealership and just ask the service techs to come on and help me get the bike on the center stand. So shout out to the guys at Durango Harley Davidson for helping me with that. That was nice of
Good
them.
team there.
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, that Harley dealership, they have a lot going on during the Four Corners rally. I know we briefly talked about that earlier, and which is a great time to go out and ride the $1 Million Highway. There's definitely more motorcycles on it than cars that weekend because of the rally, but they have a lot going on during the rally, so definitely stop in and check it out if you're in the
Yeah,
area.
that's a
And
fun event too.
if rallies are your thing, some people are like, oh, I'd rather not do rallies, and totally understand it. So
That's me.
yeah, totally get it. But you've talked about side quests and how the only thing you had seen in the area, Sanna, was Mesa Verde. And that is something that's definitely a good day ride from Durango. A lot of people will go out and do that. I've never been. It's still on my list. And I always kick myself at the end of every season because I just never get out there. But what is that like?
Yeah, that's actually crazy to me that you haven't been there because one, you live in Colorado, and two, you are so into history and specifically Native American history. And this park is such an incredible, just like gold mine of like ancestral Pueblo history. So I'm not a history buff myself, but I do appreciate a really cool feat of engineering. And that's really what Mesa Verde is known for, its cliff dwellings from like the late 1100s. And so there's these like super well preserved cliff dwellings, like almost villages built into the cliff sides that are so freaking cool. They are some of the coolest historical features I've ever seen. And the riding in this park is also spectacular. So you ride into the park on these like twisty mountain roads where you see views of four states because you're super close to Four Corners essentially. And it's a really great ride, even if you don't care about the cliff dwellings, but you should.
How could you
They're so
how could
cool.
you not?
Yeah.
They're so cool.
Yeah, no, they're so cool. So I definitely recommend this. I think it's one of the most underrated national parks because I don't hear people talk about it that much, but it's pretty high up there as far as motorcycle riding goes in national parks for me.
That's cool. I think the reason I haven't prioritized getting out there is because anytime I'm in that area, I don't have a full day to dedicate to it. And it's a place that I want to dedicate my time to. I don't just want to ride the road to get into the park and say, okay, cool, I did it and leave. And that'll give me massive anxiety and FOMO and be like, oh, I can't believe I didn't do XYZ things. So I'm kind of just mentally planning for the summer. It's going to happen. We're talking about it. I'm going to make it. I'm manifesting.
Yes.
And I feel like I need a whole day because I'd like to do like the tour. They do, if you get a reservation ahead of time, they do like guided tours over to
Mhm.
the cliff dwellings and stuff.
Yeah, like you can go in them and see them like
Yeah.
up close.
Yeah. And so that's something I would love to just dedicate some time to. And that's the next spot that's kind of a side quest and thing to do, is Chimney Rock National Monument. It's also a Native American kind of cultural site. And the U.S. Forest Service actually works with all of the tribes in the area to manage it. And it is a dirt road to get to the top. There's also a bus if I call it a bus. It's probably actually like a car. But there's this windy kind of gravel road that takes you to the top of Chimney Rock. And then from there, you can hop off your bike and walk up onto Chimney Rock National Monument. And there is an old, it's not a cliff dwelling, but it's an old, feature up there because Native Americans used to use that as kind of like a celebratory, ritual kind of spot. The words are skipping me right now, but it is so cool to see, and just like the things that they have uncovered there. And just if you're into Native American history, I think it's totally worth stopping and seeing. And I would at least plan for 3 hours if you really want to stop and read all the signs and whatnot. And the dirt road, I will say, I think all dirt roads kind of change over time, but when I rode it, last year I was on a Pan America, and I was really glad I was on the Pan Am and not my Lowrider ST because it was really gravelly. It was actually kind of nerve-wracking. Like, it felt very loose. So don't be afraid to take the bus to the top. Use the entrance road. I think this is the best way to put it. Use the entrance road to the parking lot for Chimney Rock to decide if you want to go up the actual gravel road to the top, because it can get more treacherous after that. So
I promise to stop at both places next time I fly by at 100 miles an hour.
yeah, you can see the rocks. Essentially, you can see the Chimney Rock from the highway. I don't know the number off the top of my head; it's
Yeah,
skipping me.
I
But
saw 'em.
as you're going towards Pagosa Springs, you can see it off to your right. And so, if you have the time, it's worth stopping and checking out for sure. Have either of you, speaking of Pagosa Springs, have y'all stopped there ever?
Yeah, my buddy Chris has a spot out there.
Oh, fancy! Do you guys go
Yeah,
dunk? Do you go dunk your junk in the world's deepest geothermal spring?
yeah,
Yeah,
obviously.
obvi. So
Obvi. Doi.
Pagosa Pagosa's known as Pagosa Slow to a lot of locals. It's kinda like this little hippie hot spring town, and, I really like to stop there for coffee because I usually stay in Durango for the night, and then I take off in the morning and go ride through Pagosa Springs, and then from there, I'll go over Wolf Creek, and the rest is history. But that area has, you can either pay to go into the resorts, or there's some hippie hot springs right there, like right at this overlook, I guess. It's kind of like a little boardwalk overlook, and you'll see the hot springs. They're like this crazy blue water right there on the side of the river. And if you have the time, I totally recommend stopping and dunking your junk or stopping at the coffee shop right there. I can't think of the
Always
name
worth
of
it.
it right now, but it's a good one.
It's a
And
cool spot.
they have food too.
Yeah, and if you're heading the other way out of town, out of Durango, heading west, I'm still thinking about omelets. There's a town called
Okay. Mancos, I want to say.
Mancos out towards Cortez Way, and there's a little spot called the Moondog Cafe that has delicious coffee, a hell of an omelet, and then, like the live, laugh, love, shampoo dispensers and stuff if you're into it. So trinkets and whatnot.
Oh, we love
You can
trinkets.
fill up with gas and fill your belly before you head out to check out Eli Tomac's racetrack in Cortez.
I didn't know that was out there. Good to know. Add it to
Yeah.
the map.
Also, if you're a mountain bike nerd, there's a mountain bike shop next to the Durango Diner that has a bunch of John Tomac's old mountain bikes in there. So my buddy Ed Subius was stoked on being pumped that he saw a couple bikes hanging in the rafters there. So if
That's
that tickles
cool.
your fancy at all, you can definitely check those out.
Very cool. Yeah, the Mancos is kind of like the jump off, basically, where you would split to go up onto the San Juan Skyway. And then
Yep.
from there, it'll take you up to Telluride and over Lizard Head Pass and to do that whole loop, right?
Yep. Yep. And there's a little you can take before you get to that too if you're coming from Durango. So you don't have to go all the way to Mancos to head north, I believe. There's a little fucking angly road, a little beep
Yeah,
angly
it's
road.
a side quest to the side quest,
Exactly. Yeah, you can cut a little corner off. But yeah, there's gas and food and all that stuff there because once you get to Cortez, it's not quite as glamorous as the rest of the towns we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Starts getting icky.
Just little baby towns. And
Right.
little towns in the middle of nowhere. We all know how those can kind of be. So
Yeah. No, it's fine.
yeah. I've only done the San Juan Skyway loop once, so I know things and stuff, but I would not say I'm an expert tour
Yeah.
guide
That
on that
side
one.
is really
So
good. I mean, it's a lot more grass and aspens and stuff, but once you get up towards Telluride, that little jaunt is beautiful. And it's
yeah.
just like you don't just end up in Telluride. You have to go there, like, because it's just on a dead end basically into
Mhm.
the gully or whatever it is. And but man, I think the weekend that we were there, the film festival was happening too. So there's a bunch of like hipsters and stuff running around, and it was super cute.
There's lots of rich people getting
Yeah,
snacks.
a lot of
Yeah.
people flying their jets in and out of there for
Yeah.
show.
It's a bougie town, but I think it's totally worth stopping and seeing here and
Totally.
there.
And there's a pass that goes, I think the only way to get out if you don't kind of do it the out and back is to take another ADV pass out of there, back over up towards Ouray.
Yeah, there's a couple. Technically Last Dollar Road is a two-way pass, and I've done Last Dollar Road, so I would call it beginner friendly. It can be a little
Okay, perfect.
bumpy, a little rocky, but it's not loose rock. It's
Yeah.
just Rocky Mountain
Okay. Yeah, I think we were
rock.
trying to do the scenic routes. We came down and went back out to do the loop.
Yeah, I would say if you're going to do that, that Last Dollar Road is better north to south because you come down into Telluride and you get to overlook that whole like canyon and that whole scenery versus
Oh,
riding
cool.
away from it.
Yeah.
Just from personal experience, I remember riding that and was just mind blown at how pretty it was. But the other one, it's a one way and it's Black Bear Pass, which you actually get on close to Red Mountain Pass on Million Dollar Highway. And I think that 99.9% of people need not apply. That's like one of the most dangerous mountain passes in the country, to my understanding. So I've seen footage and it looks terrifying. I think Davin could probably handle it on any motorcycle because he's a pro.
We'll give it a
But
shot. If you don't see me, you know what
bring
happened.
bring your GoPros.
I got eaten by a mace.
Yep. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. If y'all enjoyed this episode, we would really appreciate it if you could rate and review it and subscribe to the show. Also, follow at The Scenic Ride on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, all the social medias, and check out thescenicride.com for previous episodes, merch, and to sign up for our newsletter. Next time, Davin. Oh, yeah. Did you not know we had a newsletter, Davin? You should sign
Did
up for it.
not. Sounds good. I'm into it.
Surprise. Next time, Davin will be talking about another really epic motorcycle road, which is Beartooth Pass. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that. But until then, enjoy the ride.
Hey, we did it.
Okay. Goodbye.
The Scenic Ride is hosted by Staci Wilt, Davin Ortonen, and me, Sanna Bowman. Our theme music is by Ryan Sin. If you like the show, please rate and review it and tell your friends to listen. For all the latest updates, follow at The Scenic Ride on Instagram or visit thescenicride.com. Thanks for listening.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Shit yeah. Brother.
I hope that stays in there in the future.
Our new theme song.